I asked the best players from all across Australia, including Kylie, the world champion, Lachlan from Zorpazorp, and Jeremy from the Green Dragon podcast, alongside a few other high-ranking players, what they think the best troops in Middle-earth are. Middle-earth's strategy battle game is the most balanced game that I have ever played. The player's skill far outweighs whatever list they write, and the models that they bring are less important than their tactics are. But despite how well balanced any game is, some options are superior to others. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. As troops, we're counting any non-hero, non-siege engine units. Let's get started with number 10. Andrew Coleman is one of Australia's finest players, and arguably the best player from New South Wales. He played in the Clash of the Titans tournament, which was the Australian qualifying tournament for the World Championship. He only came second place in that, only losing to Kylie, who would go on to win the World Championship. His pick, that's number 10 on our list, is the Riders of Rohan. This pick surprised me, but his reasons make a lot of sense. He says that they are ultimately versatile. They can take 100% bows, but they can also go in and hit hard with all of the synergies and bonuses that they get from Theoden, their legendary legions, as well as the Rohan army bonus. This is the voice that needs no introduction. It's Jeremy from the Green Dragon podcast.
At number 9, I've gone for the humble Mirkwood Spider. Why? Because this guy moves fast and has the ability to paralyze, which is just the ultimate hero killer. You paralyze a hero on the flank, and the spider and maybe a friend can go in and kill it instantly. These spiders hit so hard that they can actually one-shot a hero. They really can. So as they go in on the charge, they shoot a web out as a throwing weapon. If that web hits, the model's paralyzed. They can try to avoid that with some fate mechanics, but if they're paralyzed, the spiders have such a high strength that there's a really good chance they take them down. And I've done this. I've done this before. It's great fun when you come in and you go against an elf hero and take them out in one shot and just opened your opponent's eyes. Fantastic model, the Mirkwood Spider. You only want to take a few of them, but they really do the work. And at a pinch, because they're so fast, and because they've got an extra wound over other models, you can use them for out on the flanks. You can use them for objectives. You can use them for the speed. They can run through terrain. They are good.
If you want to hear more of his insight, there's going to be a link to the Green Dragon podcast down in the description below. Our next player comes out of Sydney, Australia. He is Andreas, and whenever I look at tournament results from New South Wales, I always see Andreas on the podium.
Hey guys, Andreas here from Sydney. My pick for top warrior profile, as requested by Jacob, would probably be the good old, or not too old, Hunter Orc. A couple of reasons being, they're super versatile, they're extremely hard hitting at strength 4, very well suited for an aggressive playstyle. For orcs, excellent shooting which can be taken in bulk, especially in an Azog's Hunter army list, which is really handy against obvious counters like Rohan cavalry or anything that can stand at a distance and really pepper you with pressure that you would otherwise wouldn't be able to avoid if you were taking Morannon orcs or standard orcs even. It's also good that the bulk shooting can pressure your opponent to come to you, and that's where the Hunter Orcs really shine. So they're the only troop choice that come under 10 points in an evil list that has both strength 4 and 2 attacks. Also the only orc profile to allow a Warhorn, which is massive for evil armies that tend to struggle when facing things like Army of the Dead or even just charging terrifying foes. I think it's the versatility in terms of equipment, in terms of how hard they can hit your opponent, and even their latent ability to just take out really big items like your big Boromirs, your mid to high tier heroes, simply because you can't ignore that many strength 4 attacks. And that's something that I think is one of their main attributes. The fact that they're small, you almost want to ignore them, but you simply can't ignore that kind of hitting power.
Our next player is Sean. Now, he might not have the same tournament record as the other players in this list, but he's a great guy and he helps out with the channel, so let's hear what he has to say.
The Palace Guard out of Thranduil's Halls have to be the best troops in the game for me. They're fight 6 with +1 to wound when they're within 3 of their leader Thranduil. They've got bodyguard. So basically they're Royal Royal Guard on steroids. They're just incredible. They can run through woodlands. They've got Elven Made Hand and Half Blades, swords. They've got the option for banners, shields, spears, and if you need a Warhorn for your elves, there's that option there too. I just can't look past them.
Our next contributor is Matt from the Green Dragon podcast. Matt is a regular to podiums at tournaments, and he even won the latest Masters tournament for Australia. He's incredibly experienced, having played in Articon multiple times, so let's hear what he has to say.
One of my favourite warriors, or one that I think is possibly the best in the game, is the Humble Hearthguard. 13 points?
Yes.
I want to say 13
11
points.
plus 2.
You
Yes,
take
13.
Durin along with them. Durin, amazing. Great hero. Won't be featured in the rest of this video, but great hero. A classic Khazad Guard profile, as everyone knows, quite incredible. And with Burley, just
That
whacking.
bodyguard.
Boom, boom,
Bodyguard
boom,
with
smack.
Burley.
Gone. Defense 7,
Thank you
strength
very
4,
much.
+1 to wound. They do it all. They're slow, doesn't matter. Just run straight at them. Go straight at them. Dwarves,
Don't
natural
march, pretty
sprinters.
fine.
That's all you need to know.
Number 5, getting to the top half, we have the Rivendale Knight, the knight that holds everything. These guys can shoot. These guys have the lance. They have a shield if you want them, which you do. You take the shield, and they're fast. They hit hard. They hit like elves because they are elves. They've got the elven blade as well, so if you use that in combat, which you don't always do because oftentimes you're using the lance, but you can, if you're going up against fight fire, you could choose to use the elven blade and help you out there. They are so good. Having really good shooting and really good hitting power on a model that chooses when it fights because it moves so fast is really handy. These guys are very good and they often come up en masse. So this army is tough to play against. You're not afraid to put out 12, 18 of them on the board and see what they do. Oh, they're good. Scary to play against.
The Rohan Royal Guard are some of the finest troops in Middle-earth, easily the best cavalry warrior available and a strong contender for best warrior overall. I'm Lachlan from Zorpazorp Gaming, and anyone who knows me knows my love of Rohan and their shiny plate mail, green cape sparkly boys who trail behind King Theoden. Since I was 8 years old, they've been my favourite sculpt, and with the new edition changing their in-game ability substantially, they've quickly become my favourite warrior to play. Royal Guard should always be mounted with throwing spears, end of discussion. The horse is obvious, but for some reason the spears are still widely contested. The math doesn't lie, people. The raw killing power dramatically increases with spears, but more importantly, their ability to disrupt an enemy formation with a kill on the charge is utterly lethal. With the Rohan and Riders of Theoden army bonus granting them +1 strength, and Theoden's buffs taking them to fight 5 when they charge, mounted Royal Guard are killing machines. Combine this with Bodyguard to give them ultimate staying power on objectives and no fear of terror-causing enemies. These guys have it all at a very competitive price. In my Riders of Theoden army, I run pure Royal Guards, and I'm hoping to see some soon running behind Helm Hammerhand in the future.
What do you think about this list? Are there things that you agree with or disagree with? What models do you think should have been on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's start a discussion. At the point of posting this video, we're only up to 790 subscribers, and 75% of the people that watch these videos haven't subscribed yet. Maybe you could consider subscribing to support more content like this. The Bat Swarm is my favorite unit in the game, and it was my personal pick for number 1 on this list. The Bat Swarm is the ultimate multi-tool. The main thing that it does is any model that it's fighting halves its fight value. That is incredible. Now, it's important to note that this happens after heroic strikes, which means that if you strike up and get to fight 10, well, my Bat Swarm brings you back down to fight 5. That is perfect when I've got cave trolls with fight 6 rocking around, and when my goblins get fight bonuses from some of their heroes, as well as from getting traps. It just has so many good synergies that makes big heroes super easy to take down. But that's not all it can do. It's got 4 wounds, making it a tank. Even though it only has defense 3, if your big 3 attack Aragon gets charged by my Bat Swarm, there's no way that he's going to be able to call a heroic combat because he doesn't have enough attacks. Also, it's got fly, so it's super easy to jump over the lines and get sneaky traps that you might not have seen and might not have expected. And finally, with that fly, it can always just go off and pick up objectives. There's been so many games where on the last turn of the game, my bat swarms have flown 12 inches away and snagged the objective to get me the points to win.
I've gone for an old classic, an old favourite, and with a fantastic model as well, the Dead Marsh Specters. Now, in the Agmar list, these guys are just wonderful. They've got some very basic jobs. They've got high courage. In an orc army, that's fantastic. You can pretty much dance around, do what you want. Their real ability is the Fell Light is upon them, where they can potentially move models around. So in an Agmar list, you've got lots of things that can play around with courage. Even if you don't, you can still force the enemy to make a courage test, and if they fail it, you get to control them. That is fantastic. You getting control of the enemy model means that you are going to put it in a bad spot. Guaranteed. So you might bring it forward to assassinate it. You might push it back to get rid of it. You might block up the enemy lines with it to disrupt their formation. You can do so many things. You can move models off objectives. You can move them towards you. You can do all kinds of handy things. These guys are really good. Don't leave home without them, Angmar players.
Specters, they got their nasty Blaze of the Dead. So you know those pesky cats of guard that you were just talking about that you can't kill? These guys can kill them.
Bam.
5 to win.
4+.
5 to win. 4+. If you got a Witch King.
4+. Yeah,
Easy peasy.
And before we choose our number one, let's talk about some honorable mentions. For me, it's got to be the Half Troll. These guys are just over 20 points and they hit harder than any other troop in the game. They've got 2 Strength 5, Fight 5 attacks. They are absolutely incredible. Their weakness is their courage too, but that's negated by the Mahud army bonus. The next honorable mention will come from Jeremy.
Or the Gundabad Berserkers. Now this is a bit of an odd choice because yes, like some of the other models, it's a bit of a glass cannon. At only defense 5, 1 wound. It got the 6+ Fury save thing that's nothing to write home about. But what it's got is Fight 4, 2 attacks, and movement of 8. Movement of 8 is so good for an infantry model. These guys almost play the role of cavalry. And plus, you've got a high courage. So you can play the objective grabbing roles. You can play the charging scary models role. You can play like a decoy where you're trying to drag models out and you stay in charge range, but they're outside charge range. You can gang up really fast and go and attack model to back up Azog or Bolg. You can do all kinds of things. These guys have won me games, and they're another model you can take quite a few of them. So I usually run 6 to 8 of them, and they are worth it every game. They're so good. They're often the last models alive. They're doing all the work for me. They're killing, they're capturing objectives, they're running around, they're scaring the opponent. They're good. They're really useful.
All right, now that we've got those out of the way, let's figure out what our number one is. And for our number one pick, we have Kylie, who's going to tell us what the best troop in Middle-earth is. If you're wondering how credible she is, well, she is the best player in the world.
My favorite warrior. Well, they're basically the same model. It's the Spectre and the Sentinel. They are amazing. Moving your opponent's stuff around on a warrior model? Thank you. Sign me up. I'll take 3 with a side of fries. Thank you. They are that good. They are that good. They win you games.
I know you like the fries.
And they allow you to auto pass courage. They can cause terror if they want to. And they have
Incredible.
elven bows with elven cloaks. They are just amazing.
Lovely. So the Mirkwood Sentinel, you got a 2 attack model with Fight 5, that's pretty good. You've got an Elven Cloak, that's pretty good. A bow's nice, but you've got 3 songs. And look, first song is the one that's pretty much the same as the Dead Marsh Specters, the one that drags them around. That one is so good, especially on a good model, because you're often fighting against evil armies, and evil armies don't have particularly good courage. So be able to move them around, and to move them around with a Wood Elf army with either bucket loads of throwing spears or an elk or some cavalry or a shield wall is fantastic. They really complement elves really well. Never leave home without them if you have the option to take them in a Mirkwood or Thranduil's Hall's army. They are so good. You don't need many of them. 2, 3, 4. They're expensive, but they are fantastic. They're my number one troop.
And that is all for this list. Stay tuned because next week we're going to have the top 10 heroes of Middle-earth with all of the same contributors. And that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching.